Good evening. The regular meeting of the Milton Board of Zoning Appeals for Tuesday, December 17th, 2024 has been called to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's begin with the introduction of board members, beginning to my far left.
Zach Middlebrooks.
Billy Carmen.
Adam Danella.
Hodge Patel.
Lauren Holmes.
Zach Stafford.
And Nick Horton is not here this evening due to a scheduling conflict. Item 4 this evening is approval of the agenda. I'll make a motion to approve tonight's meeting agenda as published by the City of Milton.
Second.
Got a motion by Hodge and a second by Adam to approve this evening's agenda as published by the City of Milton. Is there any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item 5 on this evening's agenda is approval of the past meeting minutes. I'll seek a motion to approve the November 19, 2024 meeting minutes as published by the City of Milton.
I'll make a motion to approve the Tuesday, November 9th, 2024 meeting minutes as what? That's
Published.
published by the City of Milton.
Second.
Get a motion by Adam and a second by Billy to approve the November 19, 2024 meeting minutes as published by the City of Milton. Is there any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, I'll call for a vote on the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All those abstaining, please raise your hand. They're abstaining because they weren't at the last meeting. Item 6 this evening is consideration of primary variances. The Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial board comprised of resident volunteers of the City of Milton. The board's charged with hearing requests for variances from the standards of the Unified Development Code, or UDC, and appeals of administrative determination. With regard to decisions on primary variances, the board's basis for decision is provided by these 4 considerations. A, relief if granted would not offend the spirit or intent of the UDC. And B, there are such extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property that the literal or strict application of the UDC would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography, or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions not caused by the variance applicant. And C, relief if granted would not cause a substantial detriment to the public good and surrounding properties. And D, that the public safety, health, and welfare are secured and that substantial justice done. First primary variance this evening is V24-13488 Holly Road. Michael, will you please present?
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Good evening.
V2418, item 6A, the applicant owner is Timothy Tyler, and the address is 13488 Holly Road. The site is a 3.9 acre parcel located on the east side of Holly Road. The property is zoned AG1 and located in the rural Milton overlay district. Well, setbacks for a lot are 60-foot front, 2 25-foot sides, and a 50-foot rear setback. The applicant is seeking the following variances. Section 3.14 accessory structure setbacks to allow an existing accessory structure to remain in front of the existing single-family home. Section 3.14B to reduce the 25-foot minimum side yard to 10 feet adjacent to the south property line. And finally, Section 3.14D to reduce the 50-foot minimum rear yard to 47.1 feet adjacent to the east property line for an existing single-family home. Here's the aerial map. This is the existing single-family home built to the very rear of the property. Here is the location of the accessory structure. And if you follow my cursor, this is to the sides and to the rear is the location of the Providence Lake subdivision. The lot has a depth of 759 feet and a width of 227 feet as shown on the variance site plan Exhibit A. The primary single-family home is located at the rear of the 3.9 acre lot. The lot overall has steep slopes throughout the property. Per the applicant's letter of appeal, the accessory structure has a long history of housing horses and is currently being maintained and used for various purposes. Here's the zoomed in site plan. The applicant purchased the property in March 2022. The primary single-family home was built in 1980, and the accessory structure was built in 1970. The applicant submitted a pool permit through the Community Development Department, which reviewed the non-conformities on the property. The deck, which is 0.4 feet into the 25-foot northern side setback, received an administrative minor variance by the Community Development Director on November 25th, as shown in Exhibit B. Here is the admin variance for the 0.4 feet for the existing deck. And the two primary variants are shown here. The primary house, right here, shown in red, and then the accessory structure encroachment, and also the variance to allow the accessory structure in front of the single-family home. Here's the view of the property from Holly Road. View to the east and west. West is across from Holly Road. View to the north and south towards the Providence Lake subdivision. And you can actually make out the accessory structure to the right here. You can show that you can see the existing screening that is on the property. Photos of the accessory structure. And here's the rear of the house. And this is the corner right here that is requesting the 3-foot variance. On December 3rd, the DRB had the following comments. DRB recommends approval of the variance request. The board acknowledged the house and accessory structure were built at the very rear of the property. The board inquired if the structures house animals, would a variance still be needed to allow it in the front yard? Staff responded, no regarding the accessory structure in a front yard variance, but would have to follow the 100-foot to a property line requirement. The board stated they are happy the homeowner is preserving the former barn accessory structure rather than demolishing it. And if approved, staff recommends the following condition. Per the variance site plan from Paul W. Lard, survey and received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department. And we just received a letter of support from the homeowner. I'll show you. Directly to the south is 13460 Holly Road, and I'll put it on the overhead.
And that's a letter that came in this afternoon.
That is correct.
Thanks.
So this is the neighbor closest to the accessory structure. Any questions for staff for call the applicant?
Michael, question for you before I call the applicant up. How many members of the public do we have wishing to speak in favor?
Could you repeat that, Hodge?
How many members of the public do we have wishing to speak in favor?
We don't have any public comment
Okay.
today.
Or in opposition?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Tyler, if you'd like to come up at this time, please state your name and address for the record. You'll have a total of 10 minutes to speak and present your application before us.
Hi, my name's Tim Tyler. I live at 13488 Holly Road. My wife and I and our kids moved here in 2022, fulfilling a longtime dream of having a big property in Milton. It's come with a lot of big property in Milton that was built in the 80s problems. Lots of things that we've been working on, fixing the land, trying to make it everything the way we want it. The structure in question, first of all, we both take a lot of pride in it. We use it all the time. We feel like the way that it's set on the property is the only sensible way for it to exist on the property. And there's a nice frame when you come in down the driveway that no one's ever going to see except for people that come to the driveway because it's so hidden back in there. which is exactly what we wanted. We're back in there, and the house is in the back, and the little accessory structure is over here. It just, everything about it feels right to us. It appealed to us when we purchased the house. The accessory structure has paved access with a finished garage, housing lots of yard tools and things like that. It's all kept up nicely. Plans in the future to put hardy board siding on it and kind of spruce it up a little bit. As far as the house being 3 feet too close, I hope that gets approved because I don't know what we would do about it. But this was all built, the accessory structure was built, I believe, 36 years before Milton existed. The board that we spoke to,
DRB.
yeah, that's right, the DRB, seemed appreciative of the idea of keeping it, which we appreciated. I don't have a whole lot else to say. Our next door neighbor, as he said, the one whose property line is right at the accessory structure, supports the variance request. We're proud to live in Milton, and I appreciate your time, guys.
Sure.
Thank you.
Question for you.
Yes.
Do you have any plans to use the accessory structure to house animals at some point in the future, or what's your thought around that?
We've actually visited a lady who adopts out, I think it's donkeys. Our kids were interested. I wouldn't say no, but we don't have any plans per se right now. It's something that we would, because we have the structure, it's possible. Whereas if we didn't, it wouldn't be. So that is something that we've thought about, but no near-term plans for that.
So at some point in the future, if you were looking to house animals in that structure, it would have to be 100 feet from the property line.
Is that right?
But you'd have to come back, I guess, at that point, and just request a variance at that time.
Or I get to tell them, no, there's no way we're doing donkeys. And forget about it.
That seems like
You guys just gave me a perfect out. Thanks for the question.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No, I'm good.
If you'd like, you can make a closing statement. You're not required to do so, but if you'd like to do so, you can.
Happy to be here to talk about it, actually. Enjoying interacting with the community some, and appreciate your time. That's really all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Any additional questions for staff or the applicant? We're good. I'll close the public portion of V 24-18. I'll make a motion to approve V 24-18 with 3 parts to the variance and 1 condition on that. Per the variance site plan from Paul W. Laird Surveying received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department.
Second.
A motion by Hodge and a second by Adam on V 24-18 to approve the 3-part variance with the condition of the survey from November 1st, 2024. Phil, this meets all 4 of the conditions that we have. Substantial justice is being done by approving the variance. The structure was here before the city was formed. He has the support of the adjacent neighbor that's impacted by the structure. And I just feel like it meets all 4 of our criteria pretty clearly.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think it obviously has been here for some period of time. That was well before the city. And, I think I think it meets a hardship based on the fact that, where the property sits, there's really no place to put it. It didn't matter when they built it. I don't think there would have been any way to put it with the house there.
Pretty cool looking structure too.
Yeah.
Has character.
Right. And that's what we want in Milton. Somebody that's going to, keep things that kind of keep that historic farm type style. So we appreciate that.
Any other comments? I'll call for a vote on V 24-18, 13488 Holly Road on the 3-part variance with 1 condition. It's per the site plan from Paul W. Laird Surveying received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
The second variance this evening is V 24-19345 Ranchette Road. Michael, will you please present?
V 2419, 6B, the applicant owner is Mark Brown. The representative is Scott Reese from Brummer Reese and Associates, and the address is 345 Ranchette Road. The site is a 22.6 acre parcel located at the northeast intersection of Owner Mill Road and Ranchette Road. The property is zone AG1 and located in the rural Milton overlay district. Applicable setbacks for a lot are two 60-foot front setbacks, two 25-foot side setbacks, and a 50-foot rear setback. And as you see right here, this is Ranchette and Owner Mill Road. The applicant is seeking the following variances. Section 3.14 accessory structures to allow 5 existing accessory structures to remain in front of the proposed single-family home. Section 3.14B to reduce the 25-foot minimum side yard to 14.96 feet adjacent to the west property line for an existing accessory structure. Section 3.14B to reduce the 25-foot minimum side yard to 18.7 feet adjacent to the east property line for an existing accessory structure. Here's the aerial map. This is the location of the building shop and the feed barn. And the other 3 accessory structures were built within the last year, so they're not on the most recent aerial. The building shop right here, the largest one you can see, does have an issued community development for building permit from 2019. And the other structures on the property have not received permits. And if you look at the aerial, this is where they're trying to locate the house in the middle of the property. And the site plan will have more details on that. The lot has a depth of 1,251 feet and a width of 807 feet as shown on the variant site plan in Exhibit A. Here's a zoomed in site plan. The shop building is in red, which received a permit in 2019. Here are the 4 accessory structures I mentioned earlier. And lastly, this is in green is the location of the proposed new single-family residence. In 2018, the applicant combined 3 smaller tracts through a community development approved minor plat as shown in Exhibit B. The letter of appeal notes an error with the rear property line length on the original minor plat from 2018 as the reason why the 2 accessory structures are built closer to the side property lines than intended. The minor plat has a rear length of 807.79 feet, while the variant survey has a rear length of 801.74 feet, a difference of 6.05 feet. The applicant intends to build the primary single-family residence in the middle of the property, which will be located in front of the 5 existing accessory structures. The rear half of the property contains steep slopes. You can see it right here. There's a stream as well. The letter of appeal details the applicant's desire to have the primary single-family home located farther away from the heavily traveled Owner Mill Road. The 5 existing accessory structures are used for temporary shelter and feeding of livestock, horses, goats, chickens, and the storage and maintenance of farm equipment. The shop building adjacent to these property line received a community development approved building permit in 2019. The other 4 accessory structures did not receive community development approved building permits. The adjacent neighbor map is shown in Exhibit C, showing support from 305, 315, 325, 335 Ranchette Road, and on the west, 13115 Arnold Mill Road. Here are the letters of support. Here is the road view for Ranchette Road. Road view for Arnold Mill Road. The goat chicken feeding building. Pony run-in shed is the top photo, and below is the feed barn. More photos of the feed barn. Equipment building, shop building that received a permit in 2019. Here's a shot showing the proposed house site in the middle of the property. And the lower shot is the horse run shed on the western property line that's also seeking a side setback variance. And to clarify, the goat/feed house is seeking a side setback variance as well. Those are the two structures seeking setback variances.
Hey, Michael,
Yes.
sorry. Can you run through the colored ones and tell us which each building, I mean, obviously I know what that is. That's the,
Can do.
on
Yep.
the right side of the property, starting
Uh-huh.
at the bottom.
So bottom right is
Yeah.
the goat/feed.
Okay.
This is the horse run shed right here.
And that's
And-
not requesting a side back. side
Correct.
setback
It's
variance.
30 feet from the side property line.
Okay.
And this, just to the north, is the feed barn, which is 25 feet away. So also meeting setbacks. And all the way over on the western side is another horse run shed that is seeking a variance.
So two of the structures need setback variances,
Correct.
and then the rest of them is just because it's in front of the proposed home.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structures in front of the home, and then the 2 setback variances for the goat feed building and then the horse run shed.
Gotcha.
The top photo is the middle of the property facing east. And the bottom photo is the middle of the property facing south towards Arnold Mill Road. On December 3rd, the DRB met and had the following comments. DRB recommends approval of the variance request. The board inquired if the rear property line area impacted the setbacks for the 2 structures seeking the side setback variances. The applicant stated the lot overall is not rectangular in shape, nor does the rear property line meet the side property lines at a 90-degree angle, which impacted the side property lines more than the 6-foot rear property line area. The board inquired why the applicant received a building permit for the shop building in 2019, but didn't get building permits for the other 4 accessory structures. The applicant replied that it is his belief the general public doesn't think they need a permit for an accessory structure when there are no electric, water, or gas connections. Potential tree screening for the structures was briefly discussed by the board, but the board decided not to recommend any screening due to the large size of the property and the fact the applicant has 5 support letters from bordering property owners. The board acknowledged that they prefer a large acre horse farm representing Milton over a potential subdivision on the current 22-acre property. If approved, staff recommends the following conditions. Per the variance site plan from Brumble Reese and Associates received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department, and the 4 structures built without a permit approval shall receive community development approved building permits. Questions for staff?
Michael, can you walk us through the general process for getting permits on those structures? Kind of
Yeah.
like the time frame and what the next steps would be for the applicant?
So the most important part of any building permit is structural information, which will show that the structures are structurally sound. And for me, zoning, I look to make sure setbacks are met. And in this case, they're going through the process of getting a variance, and if approved, the variance site plan would essentially be the site plan confirming setbacks. And it's a 10-day review after they submit online. Building, engineering, arborist, zoning will have 10 days to review it. And We put our comments in our city view system. If it's approved, permit's issued same day. And if it's denied, correction notice is sent to the applicant.
What happened with the setbacks in the minor plat? Were they just surveyed wrong? Do you know?
I'll
what
defer to the
happened there?
applicant on that. He has more information on why there was a 6-foot error.
Sure.
Any other questions? Michael, before I call up the applicant, do we have anyone wishing to speak in favor or in opposition?
We do not.
We do. Okay. The applicant would like to come forward at this time. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 10 minutes to present your application and any closing remarks.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Scott Reese of Brumlow Reese & Associates, doing business at 13685 Highway 9, Milton, Georgia, 30004. Here tonight representing Mark Brown and his application for variances to allow him to construct a new residence for he and his daughter on his 22.6 acre horse farm, or let's call it a multi-use farm. And since there are more, we don't want to short the goats and the sheep and the chickens, so give them their due diligence there. So Mr. Brown assembled 3 properties to create this 22.6 acre tract back in, I think, 2018, 2019. His whole goal was to get a place for he and his daughter. He wanted open space. She wanted horses and animals. So he did that, purchased the property, has been in the process of converting it over to the horse farm, establishment of the pastures, the accessory structures. He's presently residing in the shop building, which was permitted with that purpose for the city back 2019, I think so, or I think is the date. And the accessory structures he's added as he went. When the combination plat was done, the previous surveyor made a couple of errors. There was an error on the east side as you enter along from Ranchette. They had to do some land swapping to get that line fixed. And then on the west line, there was a 6-foot bust on the rear and then coming up the angles. This all happened before I came in. The applicant stated to me that they had driven markers along the property lines that he used to construct to measure over for the structures.
Was that to do the minor plat?
Yes. So when the surveying company that did the minor plat marked the property lines where, as you can imagine, if you're in the middle of a wooded section, if you don't, and your property lines are 1,200 feet deep, if you don't have some marks along the line, it's pretty much a trial and error, and you're probably going to fall on the side of error every time. Mm-hmm. So when we came in, we discovered the bust in the survey. The property line markings along the line, they were no longer there for me but the property corners were in error that I had to then re-record a new plat to take the place, because I can't change their work, and they were not cooperative. And since they were in their 70 or past due period, they were not looking to open that back up. Arnold Mill Road is the most unique road in the city of Milton. I know the landfill has now closed, so you don't get the problem that you did have, but I think you've all driven the road and know it's a very unique situation in Milton. So he wants the house as far away from the Arnold Mill Road as possible. The rear third or a little more of the property, there's a creek back there, and it's got some pretty steep slopes on it. I think you can tell on the site plan with the topo. So the logical place to put the accessory structures were where they go. It's unfortunate that they're a little too close to the property lines, but that happened, and there's not a whole lot we can do to go back over that. I think it's very important to note that all of the property owners in proximity to these structures have provided letters of approval or suggestion of approval for the variance to allow him to construct this new residence and keep this 22.5 acre property. You'll also notice that the Patterson property on the, I'm going to say, get my mind, I guess that is the east side there, that large tract. Mr. Patterson is in a nursing home, a little town outside of Statesboro, Georgia. I was not able to get a letter of approval from him. I was able to, his children alerted me that they are under contract with a nationwide builder for a 1 acre lot subdivision on that property. Whether it comes to fruition, I guess we'll just have to see. But they've combined the Schmidt property that fronts on Providence Road, and it's all under contract with a national builder right now. So it's very important, I think, that we all try to preserve these 20-plus acre estates in Milton, allow someone to build a house and recognize that there are some shortcomings with the configuration of this property and the fact that it's on Arnold Mill Road. And I don't think anyone really wants to pull their primary structure up in front of the other buildings. So I hope we have addressed all the 4 tenants or the 4 markers for a variance request. And if there are any questions, we will do our best to answer those. Mr. Brown is here in the audience, but he would prefer not to public speak.
Mr. Reese, question for you.
Yes, sir.
On the proposed home, what's the status on that from a plan perspective? Have you guys already started architectural
Yes,
plans on
we've
it?
done the preliminary hydrology work, and as you can see, we've sited the house in. The original, what started this process was when we were doing our site and engineering work for the construction of the new residence. I picked up the location of the structures and everything in there and brought it to his attention. Once again, the bearer of great news that I always am. Mr. Brown, sorry you can't submit for your home construction until we bring everything into compliance. So,
Do you know what the timing is going to be for starting
he
construction on that?
is anxiously pawing the ground. I'm the one holding him up as soon as I can get through this process and submit. We will be. So I'm hoping when the weather breaks, 1st of March, his building permit is ready and he can start moving ground.
Do you see any needs at this point for future variances on this property at all?
Not that no, I mean, we have cited the house location. He's much more familiar with the UDC than he was earlier. His daughter, if she progresses more in the equestrian arts, there may be need for a structure. As you go up and value the horses, typically they want to be inside more. But he's well aware that if he does need to construct a stable, it would have to be more than 100 feet from any property line. We've had that discussion.
And that it would be submitted to us, it would be submitted to the city beforehand, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We've gone over that accessory structures do need to be permitted, no matter if you grew up in the construction trades and that they do not have utilities. It's still a requirement that any structure be permitted in the city of Milton.
That was something you just mentioned. It looked like in one of the pictures, I guess the goat
The little
little house. I
Yes.
mean, does that have utilities? It looks like there's a hose and then some lights on it.
there may be, it was,
Has camera out there for, we like to go to the phone. and
Can-
then got Mark to it. Shut up.
Can you come up to the podium, please?
Just tell us about that building. And then I guess my other
So the
question
goat
is,
building, when I built
hang on one
it-
second, just real quick before you get to that.
Oh, is that better?
About how far like from the street, is it just pasture and then that's kind of an area?
Yeah, it's
kind of
over
pinned off or something?
It's over there's a rise that comes over. I do not think you can see it from the street.
Sure.
Because it's, and I'm not looking at the plat, but I'm going to say it's 150 feet or more back from the street.
Are you saying from Ranchette or Arnold Mill?
Ranch.
I mean,
Yeah,
Arnold
yeah,
Mill, you're
a bit
going so
about
fast
Ranchette,
on that
Arnold.
road, I don't think anybody's looking,
Kind
but
of like at an angle. I mean, I was just curious
I
how,
mean, if
how,
you
how far
stop there
back.
and look, you could probably see a little bit of it from Ranchette.
So there's a 120-foot leg and then it's back. So it's every bit of 200 feet
Yeah.
back from
Okay.
Ranchette.
And so what about the utilities out there?
One's a horse run-in, and that's
No,
just,
you ran a water line for water up
yeah,
to the
water
building,
line, yeah.
but it's not in the building. It's a
No, it
Faucet
comes
outside.
out of the building.
And then it's got power out there too.
Yeah, I ran, it's all done by my electrician who does all my commercial shopping centers. I mean, they got breaker boxes, everything, just fans, just to keep the flies off of them.
Sure.
And then the chickens, they just use the thing to lay eggs. They don't even stand the damn thing. They stay out on the fence.
Does that have any issue with? That's still it's fine as an accessory structure with power, utilities and all that, right?
It's common, yeah. It would just be
Okay.
an electric permit with the accessory structure permit.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just have to go through the appropriate permitting.
Okay.
I have a question about the feed barn. It certainly looks like there could be stalls, horse stalls in. Are there any stalls, horse stalls in it?
There's two in there, but I only use them in there if they're sick. I mean, like, my horses stay outside. I'm not into keeping a horse in a
Well,
barn.
would that require the 100-foot setback thing for?
So the UDC code says structures housing animals. And that is, so like commercial poultry houses, kennels that are 24/7, stables where the horses stay in there. But these horses are outside every time I've been there, and they're not set up as stabling, but for vet work or something like that, they're brought in for a temporary time period. But these horses, those are not long-term stables.
They came from Arizona. They lived outside their whole life, so.
But they could be housed in there though, right?
If that was the case, then he would have to get a variance or a permit.
Right now, there's
That
a
was my
zero-turn,
question.
two
Okay.
four-wheelers, and my daughter's little dune buggy in there. I mean, the only time I put one horse in there is when he got an abscess foot, and they told him to sit in there for a week, and I put a fan on him, and so they don't want to be in there. They hate it.
But if you chose to stall horses, you'd have to come back and get a variance. Okay.
Or you'd go and build another stall, proper stall in the proper place on the property.
Yeah, if you're going to
Yeah,
stall.
in the future, I'd like to build something in the back. Yeah,
Right.
I would. But I mean, I finally got good back there with grass growing. I mean, this was just kind of like and I didn't even have plans to build a stall in there until one of the horses got sick. And I was like, they're like, you got to keep it inside. I mean, we literally slapped it together in a week just so it wouldn't get hurt anymore.
Yeah.
Any other questions for the applicant? Mr. Reese, if you'd like to make any closing statements, you can do so at this time.
Just that, the fact that we've got, letters of support from all the affected neighbors and that, that these larger properties to keep Milton, that I think we all have realized that there are extenuating circumstances with a lot of these, and we need to have that, thought in mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any questions for staff or for Paul? I will close the public portion of V 24-19 and open the floor for a motion in a second.
I make a motion to approve V 24-19, all three parts, with the. Here we go. The approval per the variant site plan from Brumlow Reese and Associates received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department. And that the four structures, the accessory structures that were built need to go through the Community Development Department to get approved building permits. That would be it.
Second. Got a motion and a second on V24-19345 Ranchette Road for the three-part variance with two conditions per the variance site plan from Brumlow Reese and Associates, Inc., received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department. And the second condition is the four accessory structures built without permit approval shall receive Community Development approved building permits. Can you take it first since you made the motion?
Yeah. I don't think the relief granted would offend the spirit and intent of the ordinance. I mean, obviously, this is what we want in Milton. We want large lots. We want farms. We want, animals and all that fun stuff. So I think that, there's some hardship issues with the property with the river in the back. Well, the amount of horses, things you need out there to manage a 22-acre farm and animals. And I think this makes the most sense of how it's laid out and how it's set up. Obviously, I don't think this would cause any substantial detriment to the public good or surrounding properties, and the public safety, health, welfare is secured, and substantial justice is done. I think all that has to do with, all the neighbors' approval. I think that, again, this is what we want in Milton to see. I hate hearing that the neighboring property is going to be subdivided into a subdivision, but we appreciate, what you're doing here, and at least I do, and how you're doing it. So I think this makes sense, and I think it meets all the four criteria under the circumstances.
I agree. Any other comments?
Well said.
Yep.
I will call for a vote on
Aaron, 20.
B24-19345 Ranchette Road. It's a three-part variance with two conditions. The first one being per the variance site plan from Brumlow Reese and Associates, Inc., received on November 1st, 2024 by the Community Development Department. And then the second condition is that four accessory structures built without permit approval shall receive Community Development approved building permits. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
All right.
As
Thank
a
you.
former
Thank you.
lineman at Milton High, I hope you all go cheer on.
That's right.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Have a great holidays.
Where are we at here?
Item 7 this evening is consideration of secondary variances.
None.
Item 8 is old business.
The 2025 calendar.
Michael, before you get into the calendar, can you just give us a quick update about the January meeting?
Yes,
Thanks.
we received no submittals for the January deadline. So that means we will not have a meeting in January. And our next meeting will be in February for sure, because I have at least 5 that are either going to go in February or March. So I'm confident they'll meet that deadline.
February 18th.
What are we doing? The calendar?
Yeah,
So
I'm
we don't
pulling it
have
up.
one
Give me
on,
one
in
second.
January, right?
Yeah, so we're required in our bylaws to approve the calendar on the last scheduled meeting of the year. And this is it. And if you have any recommendations or changes, please let us know. But
Let's try to avoid championship week.
yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be hard if they keep going to the one at last year and hopefully tonight.
That's right. That's right. Everybody go watch 7:00.
So, Michael, we need to make a motion and vote on the
Yes,
calendar.
yes, to approve the
Well,
25.
I'll make a motion that we approve the calendar for 2025.
Second.
Get a motion by Billy and a second by Zach to approve the 2025 calendar as presented this evening. Any discussion? Seeing that there's no discussion, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Item 10 this evening is adjournment. I'll make a motion to adjourn the last meeting of our 2024 calendar.
Second.
Got a motion by Hodge, a second by Billy to adjourn. Any discussion? Seeing none. Call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.